Imagine being told you're too fat to exist in a space literally. Designed for getting healthy? That's exactly what happened to Maya Rodriguez when Karen Bradford decided that her presence at FitLife Gym was offensive and unmotivating. But what Karen didn't know was that the head trainer had been watching everything, and what he did next would change both their lives forever. Maya had joined FitLife Gym 3 months earlier after her doctor warned her about prediabetes and high blood pressure. And unlike the crash diets and shame spirals of her past, this time felt different. She'd found a trainer who focused on strength over size, a community that celebrated progress over perfection, and for the first time in her adult life, she actually enjoyed moving her body, showing up 5 days a week at 6 a.m. without fail, pushing through burpees and planks and treadmill intervals that left her exhausted but proud. She'd lost some weight, sure, but more importantly, she'd gained confidence, energy, and the radical belief that her body deserved care regardless of its size. But Karen Bradford had apparently missed that memo entirely. It started on a Tuesday morning when Maya was on treadmill number 8, doing her usual 30-minute walk-jog interval training, her teal tank top dark with sweat, her breath coming hard but steady, lost in her music and the rhythm of her feet, when suddenly the machine next to her, treadmill 7, Karen's self-proclaimed spot, powered up and Karen stepped on with an audible huff of annoyance, her hot pink tank top and matching headband practically glowing under the gym lights, her platinum ponytail swinging as she shot Maya a look of pure disdain. Maya noticed, but ignored it, keeping her eyes forward, focusing on her interval timer, but then Karen did something that made Maya's stomach drop. She pulled out her phone, angled it toward Maya, and took a photo, not even trying to be subtle about it. And when Maya glanced over in confusion, Karen actually rolled her eyes and said loud enough for others to hear, "Some people really need to understand that gyms have image standards." Maya felt her face flush. Not from exertion now, but from humiliation, and she nearly stopped her workout right there, nearly grabbed her towel and fled to the locker room like she had so many times before in other gyms, other spaces where her body had been deemed unacceptable. But something in her had changed over these 3 months. She'd earned her place here, sweated for it, showed up for it, and she wasn't leaving. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to Rayan Review 2.0 for more real, emotional HOA stories. Maya kept running, her jaw set, but Karen wasn't done. Apparently emboldened by Maya's silence, she turned to the woman on her other side, a regular named Amy Chen who happened to be Maya's friend, and said in a stage whisper clearly meant to be overheard, "I don't understand why they let people like that in here. It's honestly discouraging to those of us who actually care about fitness. Like, if I looked like that, I wouldn't show my face in public, let alone wear tight clothes at a gym." Amy's eyes went wide, her mouth dropping open, and she immediately shot back. "Excuse me, what did you just say?" But Karen just shrugged, her blue eyes cold and her lips curved in a mean little smile as she said, "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. This is supposed to be a fitness space, not a before photo convention, and honestly, her being here makes it harder for the rest of us to stay motivated." The gym had gone eerily quiet. People on nearby machines slowing down, weights clanking to a stop. Everyone's attention suddenly laser-focused on this unfolding confrontation, and Maya felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall, refused to give this woman the satisfaction, even as her hand reached for the emergency stop button, because how could she keep working out while being verbally destroyed? That's when Jake Morrison, the head trainer who'd been doing a consultation across the gym floor, came striding over, his face a mask of controlled anger. And he stopped directly in front of Karen's treadmill and said in a voice that carried across the entire space, "Ma'am, I need you to stop your machine and come with me to the office now." Karen actually laughed, a sharp dismissive sound, and said, "Excuse me, I'm in the middle of my workout, and honestly, you should be thanking me for trying to maintain standards here." But Jake didn't budge, his hazel eyes hard as stone as he repeated, "That wasn't a request. You need to come to the office immediately." Karen finally stopped her treadmill, stepping off with exaggerated annoyance, and as she followed Jake toward the glass-walled office, she called over her shoulder, "This is ridiculous. I'm a platinum member. I've been coming here for 2 years. You can't speak to me this way. But Jake kept walking, his spine rigid, and the entire gym watched as he held the office door open, waited for Karen to enter, then closed it behind them. Maya stood frozen at her treadmill, her legs shaking now from adrenaline rather than exercise. And Amy immediately came over and wrapped an arm around her shoulders, whispering, "Don't you dare let that miserable woman steal your power. You've been crushing it here for months and everyone sees it." And several other regulars nodded, offering supportive smiles and thumbs up, and Maya realized with a shock that the community she'd built here was real, that these people had her back, that she wasn't alone in this humiliation. Through the glass wall of the office, everyone could see the conversation. Jake standing with arms crossed, face serious, Karen gesturing wildly, clearly arguing, her face getting redder by the minute, and at one point she actually pointed back toward Maya, her mouth forming words that looked a lot like "people like her." And that's when Jake's expression went from stern to absolutely done. And he pulled out his phone, swiped a few times, then turned the screen toward Karen with what looked like irrefutable evidence of something. If you're feeling this story, hit that like button and share this video to support Rayan Review 2.0. Karen's face went from red to white, her eyes widening, and she started shaking her head vehemently. But Jake was already typing on his computer. And after a few more exchanges where Karen seemed to be pleading now instead of demanding, Jake stood, opened the office door, and said in a voice loud enough for the whole gym to hear, "Your membership has been terminated effective immediately for violation of our harassment and discrimination policy. You need to collect your belongings and leave the premises, and if you return, you'll be considered trespassing." The gym erupted in whispered reactions, some people actually clapping, and Karen stood there in the office doorway looking absolutely shattered, her platinum ponytail askew, her hot pink outfit suddenly seeming ridiculous rather than fashionable, her whole carefully constructed image crumbling in real time. She tried one more appeal. "You can't do this. I'll sue. I'll leave reviews. I'll tell everyone how you discriminate against premium members." But Jake just handed her a printed document and said, "This is a copy of our membership agreement which you signed. Section 12 clearly states that harassment of other members is grounds for immediate termination without refund. And I have security footage of you photographing another member without consent, verbally harassing her and making discriminatory comments about her body. So please call your lawyer. I'd love to have this conversation in a legal setting." Karen snatched the paper, grabbed her designer gym bag from her locker with everyone watching, and stormed out. But not before shooting Maya one last venomous look that was probably meant to be intimidating, but just looked pathetic, desperate, the look of someone who'd just realized that cruelty has consequences. After the door slammed behind her, Jake walked over to Maya, who was still standing by the treadmills trying to process what had just happened, and he said gently, "Maya, I am so sorry you had to experience that. You've been nothing but dedicated and positive since you joined. And I want you to know that this gym is your space as much as anyone else's. Your progress has been incredible. And anyone who can't celebrate that doesn't belong here. Period." Maya finally let the tears fall, but they were relief now mixed with gratitude. And she managed to say, "Thank you for standing up for me. I was ready to quit, to disappear, to believe her." And Jake shook his head firmly and replied, "That's exactly what people like her want. They want you to shrink, to hide, to give up, because your existence and your progress threatens their narrow worldview. But here's the truth. You showing up every morning, working hard, getting stronger, taking care of your health on your own terms. That's more inspiring than anything she's ever done. And everyone here sees it. Want to hear more life-changing HOA tales every week? Subscribe to Rayan Review 2.0 and never miss the next twist." The other gym members started coming over, offering hugs and support, sharing their own stories of body shaming and judgment, and Amy said loudly, "You know what? Let's make this Maya's gym instead of Karen's. Who's in for 6 a.m. workouts with our warrior here?" And about 8 people immediately raised their hands, forming an impromptu support crew that would become Maya's regular workout group. Over the next few weeks, the story of what happened spread through the gym community, not as gossip, but as a defining moment, and Jake used it as an opportunity to reinforce FitLife's values. posting a statement on their social media about body inclusivity, health at every size, and zero tolerance for discrimination that went semi-viral and actually brought in new members who'd been too intimidated to try gyms before. People of all sizes and abilities who'd been waiting for a space that would actually welcome them. Maya continued her journey, hitting new strength milestones, completing her first 5K, and eventually becoming a certified personal trainer herself, specializing in working with plus-size clients, turning her painful experience into purpose and helping others who'd faced similar cruelty find their power. She never saw Karen again, but about 6 months later, Amy showed her an Instagram post from a mutual acquaintance. Karen had joined an expensive boutique fitness studio across town, the kind with mandatory designer athleisure and green juice bars, the kind where everyone looked the same and probably thought the same. And in her posts, she was still spouting toxic diet culture and body-shaming rhetoric, apparently having learned absolutely nothing from being kicked out. Still trapped in the same miserable mindset that equated worth with appearance and mistook cruelty for motivation. But here's what Karen would never understand. What people like her can't seem to grasp. Maya's transformation wasn't about becoming smaller or more acceptable to judgmental eyes. It was about becoming stronger, healthier, more confident in her own skin. And that transformation was powerful precisely because it rejected the premise that bodies need to look a certain way to deserve respect, care, or space. The gym put up a new sign after the incident, right by the entrance where everyone would see it. All bodies welcome. All journeys valid. All progress celebrated. Discrimination is not a workout plan. And it became FitLife's unofficial motto, printed on t-shirts and water bottles, a constant reminder that fitness spaces should build people up, not tear them down based on arbitrary beauty standards. Maya kept that teal tank top she'd worn the day Karen tried to shame her out of the gym. And on days when she felt discouraged or when the world's constant body policing got to be too much, she'd put it on as armor, as a reminder that she'd faced cruelty and survived, that she'd claimed her space and refused to shrink, and that her body, at any size, deserved movement and joy and strength. Jake eventually told her the full story of what happened in that office meeting. He'd pulled up Karen's previous complaints against other members, a pattern of body-shaming comments documented over months that the gym had warned her about twice before, and when he showed her the security footage of her photographing Maya without consent, explaining that it violated both gym policy and potentially privacy laws. Karen had actually tried to justify it by saying she was going to post it as motivation on her social media as a what not to look like example, which was so horrifyingly cruel that Jake said he'd never terminated a membership faster in his career. The real kicker, though, the detail that made Maya both angry and sad, was that during the argument, Karen had broken down and admitted she'd gained 15 pounds over the past year and was terrified of becoming like those people, revealing that her cruelty was just fear and self-hatred projected outward, that she was so trapped in toxic beauty standards that she couldn't see someone else's health journey without feeling threatened by it. But even knowing this, even understanding that Karen's cruelty came from her own pain, didn't excuse the harm she'd caused or the trauma she'd tried to inflict. Thanks for watching Rayan Review 2.0, where every story teaches a lesson. Like, share, and subscribe for more emotional neighborhood dramas. Because the moral here is crystal clear. Your body is not a before photo, your worth is not determined by your size, and any space that makes you feel less than because of your appearance is not worth your energy, your time, or your tears. So the next time someone tries to shame you out of a gym, a pool, a restaurant, or anywhere else your body has every right to be. Remember Maya, remember that trainer who stood up for her, remember that community that rallied around her, and know that the problem isn't your body. The problem is people who've been so poisoned by diet culture and beauty standards that they've forgotten the basic truth that all human beings deserve respect, dignity, and space to pursue health and happiness however that looks for them. Because at the end of the day, Karen lost her gym membership, but Maya gained a community. Karen stayed trapped in her judgment, but Maya found freedom. And that's not karma. That's just what happens when you choose cruelty over compassion, exclusion over inclusion, and fear over growth. So be like Jake, be like Amy, Be like that gym that chose values over vanity, and create spaces where everyone belongs, because the only body that's too much for any space is the body attached to a heart full of hate.